afternoon, Stampers. My name is Lisa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm here today to show you how to make a light up card using mostly Stampin' Up! Products. And I will have links to everything that I use at the top of this post as soon as it's done, whatever it does on Facebook, processing, I guess. And as soon as I can edit it, I will add all the links to everything that you need to create today's card. And it's mostly, using Stampin' Up! Products again, but then Chibitronics. I don't know if you guys have heard of those yet, but they're just little teeny tiny lights and some copper tape that will help make a card light up. They're really fun, and I've been dying to play with them for a long time, and I finally did it. I broke down, I bought some on Amazon, and I made a card. So I showed you guys that last week. That would be this one right here. And when you press the little button, the headlights light up. Like, how cool is that, right? So this one involved a lot of stamping, and I didn't want to do so much stamping today as focus on how we're going to make the card. So today's card is much simpler as far as the design, but it still lights up. See the top of the lighthouse there? And so we're going to focus today on how I made it do that. So I'm going to bring you down to my desk and show you everything we need to get started, and we'll go ahead and make the card. Okay, so here we are at my desk. This is the card I showed last week, and then this is the one we're going to make today. Much simpler, but like I said, we're focusing on the electronics. What you will need for today's card is you're going to need the copper tape, and then these little craft white lights. And they have them in multicolor too, but I'm using the white ones for today's project, and then these miniature batteries. And again, don't panic, I've looked them all up, and I will give you the links to how to get them. You'll also need your Stampin' Up! Supplies, of course. And so what I have here is a Night of Navy card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And of course the inside at 4 inches by 5 1/4. I have an outside that's going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. I went ahead in advance and I stamped the lighthouse from the Sailing Home bundle. And then I die cut it using the coordinating smooth sailing dies that come with it. Also, while I had that out, I die cut our little label here that I'm going to use for the sentiment. I'm going to need a strip of Whisper White cardstock. So we'll do that, and then I've got a piece of crumb cake here. And what I did for the crumb cake is I just took a layer of the length that I needed, and then I gently pulled it towards me as I kind of made an angle. And so that gave me 2 different pieces I could use as the sand for across the bottom of our card. And this one had a few little stamps in it, but I thought if you wanted to, you could add the High Tide stamp set, and this would give you many more things that you could choose from to decorate up in the background. Like, say you wanted to create a little bit of water, we could come in with some Seaside Spray. And then I've got my piece here for the beach, and so I'm going to need one more. We can put a few little plants down at the bottom. And this is just all the simple fun stuff, and you can do this whatever. Like I said, I did the headlights on the truck, I did the top of the lighthouse. You can do the lights on a Christmas tree. There's lots of different options. Once you get down how you do the electronics, the rest is easy. I was going to try not to get too carried away, but you see what I mean about how you can add the boats in the background, you can add, all your little scenery that's going to set you up for where your lighthouse is going to go. And then of course we need room for the sentiment. And we can even emphasize that tear a little bit by coming in with a sponge. And you can highlight along the edge, and we can also just dab into the sand. And the High Tides actually even have some little crabs and things that you could do down there, so it gets infinitely more fun. So now what I'm ready to do is start layering my card together, and I'm going to come in with my 1/8 inch hole punch, and I'm going to punch a hole right here in the top of my lighthouse. Can you see my little hole? And then as I start putting this card together, Now if I stick my lighthouse right here, what I'm going to want to do is mark where that little hole is. And then I'm going to come back with the hole punch again and punch another hole in that spot. And I'm going to line this up over the hole. So that's just where my light's going to shine through. You with me so far? Okay, the reason I want to know where my little label is going to go is because that's going to tell me where the battery is going to land. So as I bring in my card base, I can line it up where I want it to be. And I'm going to draw a circle where the light's going to go. And then I'm going to draw an X on my card right underneath the label because that's where I want my battery. And then I'm going to take my 2" by 1" piece of cardstock and I'm going to just fold it in half, and that's just going to be the little battery housing, and you'll see what I mean by that in a minute, but that's going to go right there. Then we need to know the positive and the negative side of our light. Let me bring one of these in and I'll show you what I mean. There's 3 lights in this, so there's a pointy end and a flat end, and they're going to touch where our light's going to go. There's going to be a positive and a negative side to those things. And then what I want to do is I'm basically going to take and run the copper wire across and down, and we're going to have a positive and a negative on here. So we're going to run this one to the positive, and then I'm going to come and bring this one over here and into the negative side. Now I'm having it come over on the plus side. Now I don't want it to touch, but I want it to just kind of come up in the corner so that this will fold back and forth. If I was to bring it straight up into the negative area, then I couldn't close it, so I couldn't make my button touch. You have me? Let me know you understand. If there's something I need to repeat or clarify, definitely let me know. But now on my little path, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this copper tape. This is 1/8 inch copper tape. And I'm going to start it right there. And I'm going to run it over. Now I want to make it turn. So in order to make it turn, I'm going to fold it away at kind of a 45-degree angle. And then I'm going to bring it down and continue it straight. Guess we can go ahead and put this down. And then we can come in and just flatten it with the bone folder. And it doesn't matter that there's a little bit of a lump here. That's going to be fine. Then I'm going to take our next piece and we're going to go to the negative now. So I'm going to start on the negative side. And I want them fairly close together because the little light pieces aren't very big and we want to make sure that both sides touch. So I'm coming straight down. I'm folding away at 45 degrees and then coming back. So away at 45 degrees. Okay. So now we have our circuit track. So this is going to be the positive side, and this is going to be the negative side. And then we're going to take the little piece, and like I said, just one of those is going to be our light. And I'm going to put the wide part on the positive and the pointy part on the negative. So this is where, remember I said it had to be really close together because we want that part to touch copper and we want this part to touch copper. And then we're going to bring in our battery. Okay, so on the battery it's going to have the wording on the plus side, so I'm going to put that down. And then I'm going to have this come across. Now mine lights up right away, which is fabulous, but in case it doesn't, if there's anywhere along the line that it's broken or maybe this isn't touching quite, you can add a little bit more copper. I know on the other one I made a great big X because I wanted to make sure that this side really stuck. But again, positive side down because that's going to run to the top of my triangle. The negative side is going to go to the bottom of my triangle and then it lights up. Now, in order to keep this in its spot, I was going to give it a glue dot. Make sure it still works. I'm just pulling it off of my copper. That's better. Okay, now remember, this is going to line up with that little light, and then we're going to put the little press button here. You see how it's lighting up? Okay, also to hold this in its spot, I'm going to come in with the foam adhesive strips. Now you want to make sure whatever foam you're using is thick enough that it's going to be taller than the battery, because we don't want the top and the bottom to touch until it's been pushed. So if whatever foam you're using is thinner than this, you might need 2 layers. Okay, so I have a little well all the way around. And see, when it's closed, unless I put pressure on it, it doesn't light up. It needs the pressure from my finger to light up. Then we just need to even up the rest of it. Now we want to stick with foam adhesive strips, because remember, the foam adhesive strips and the dimensionals are not the same thickness. So whichever one you're using, continue using that one so that your height is the same. And then I'm just putting it in close enough to make sure that I still have my border around, since this is a 1/4 inch more than the layer I'm going to be putting on top of it. Okay, so all my adhesive is exposed. Might even want to put a little bit in the middle. Now, I'm going to put my top on it, but again, we're making sure that that little hole is going to go right over that little part that lights up. And so that's kind of where I'm starting, is I'm not quite letting it touch and kind of looking to make sure that that little light is going to come through the hole before I let the rest of it go down. So mine's a little wonky. I'm going to have to fix that, but you get the idea. So now that's all there is to it. Now you have your light up card. I put the little sentiment on the front because that tells them where they need to push. And then, like I said, you can choose to put sailboats in the background or leave it as is. It's up to you. And then all we need to do is decorate the inside. Any questions? Does it look simple enough? Now, when you guys give this a try, I want to make sure that you post into the Facebook group that I have. It's called the Creativity Realm. And out of that, I'm going to pick some winners and send them some free stuff out of the new catalog. So share what you create. See, there's another spot. Let's just cover that up. Don't you hate it when you get all the way to an end of a card and then you splotch ink on it? Let's use some Mango Melody and put a sun up here. And there we go. So I hope you liked today's card and that you definitely give it a try. It's not as complicated as it sounds. As you can see, in this very simple, less than half an hour, I went very, very slowly and we went over the entire card and we're good to go. So thank you for joining me today, and make sure that you give Chibitronics a try. And if you need any of the supplies that are used in my card today, you can also shop my Stampin' Up! Online store, and your business definitely helps keep me in business, which helps me to bring more videos to you. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you next Monday right here at 2:30. Thanks for joining me. Bye.